Hey guys, take two, JamieStarr, New World News Network. Tonight I'm going to try and knock out a handful of videos for you, all kind of revolving around the new direction of the Democratic Party and this sort of ridiculous race war narrative that's going on. And, the other day I was on Facebook talking to a liberal friend of mine who, we're friendly with one another because we know each other personally, and then we learned each other's politics beyond that. So I think we both acknowledge it's a layer of politics, and I always try to explain to him, it's two ways to the same road, but I try to point out to him, your way of seeing things is there's so much projection involved, where, you're claiming all the Republicans are racist and this, and that, and meanwhile, they don't let a white nationalist, white identitarian like Richard Spencer into the deplorable. You can see them trying to distance themselves from it, and you don't acknowledge it. But the main part of the conversation was over political correctness, and I brought in how it's politically correct to be openly racist to white people. The clips we're going to get into are from the DNC. Apparently, this is their new direction. They're about to have a platform of race war, and I think it's wonderful. And I explained that to my friend. Me and political correctness, I don't like it. So I think if you want to be openly racist to white people as a response to losing a large chunk of the white vote, go for it. Knock yourself out. Have fun. I'll help you spread it to everywhere you can fucking go. At this point, I want to join in on the fun. I want to be a Democratic propagandist. I think here's my fantastic idea, but I'll go to hell for this one. You know how there's this weird infusion of Islam into the Women's March and everything like that? I think we should talk them into female genital mutilation as an act of solidarity. And let's just bring it as far as we can and be like, oh, no. Putting on a burqa is not enough. You gotta get down with this woman. But I think we'd go to hell for it because, the free bleeding and all that other ridiculousness that feminists will do to prove they're the number one feminist, I guess, they'll do it. So, but I think it'd be really great and it'd be really funny, but definitely go to hell for that one. So we'll have to get one of our atheist friends to see that one out. So anyway, talking to my friend, telling him political correctness, there's this war on white people, all this nonsense, and he at first he's accusatory of it, and he's like, your side of things thinks there's a war on white people and white men and this and that. And I'm like, well, at what point would we have thought that? Would it have been MTV's Decoded? Would it have been the kidnapping with the fuck Trump and, the racial targeted attacks during BLM protests? And I just started running off a list. And I'm like, or would we think it's the Democratic Party at their thing, using fuck white people as a selling point? I don't know if you're expecting an open declaration, but you're about to be at it. And, the Nazis didn't just come out on day one and be like, oh, the Jews are fucking evil. It was, decades of them portraying them as rats and, white devil, this sort of casual, it's funny, I saw a thing where someone was talking and they used the term casual racism, and this is what it's become. It's become so prevalent and normalized, it's just sort of casual racism towards whites. And sometimes when it gets extreme, it just doesn't even it just blows right over. The kidnapping thing. Had that been the other way around, it would have still been a headline on CNN Tonight, that one of the kids sneezed in their jail cell or something. So, I thought I'd get into this because I've had another clip I could link it into. Jamu Green was on Tucker Carlson. This was uploaded January 16th, so it was midway of last month. And he's asking her about a quote from Simone Sanders about not needing white people in the Democratic Party, and she evades this every which way she can. But when you see this other clip of the DNC candidate going on her fuck white people tirade, you just see this woman's body language and the clapping and smiling, and you can tell she's with it. And it's just a matter of running for an office. She's smart. She doesn't want to have some crazy quote on the record. So, let's get into this clip.
Is clearly intending to put in place. And it is about communication, because they beat us at communication. That we know.
Here's a famous and skilled communicator. Her name is Simone Sanders. She was, in fact, the spokeswoman for Bernie Sanders, kind of a big deal. And she said this, and I'm quoting, on CNN, in this November after the election, in my opinion, we don't need white people leading the Democratic Party right now. Do you agree with that?
Look, I think that it is great to have people like Simone's passion and, certainly the young voters that were attracted to Bernie Sanders. They are a part of the Democratic Party, and we need to find ways where everybody feels welcomed. I don't
But wait a
agree
second. I'm sorry. What do you think of that? We don't need white people leading the Democratic Party right now. Do you think she should have said that? Do you think that's an okay thing to say? And do you agree with it?
Well, clearly I'm in the race, Tucker, so I very specifically think we need to move Green leading the Democratic Party right now.
No, don't be silly. Answer the question.
I mean, she said we don't need white people. Race.
Okay, but hold on. This is not a fringe person. This is Simone Sanders, so you know. We don't need white people leading the party. Now, I don't even need to play the thought experiment what would happen if someone on the Republican side said we don't need black people leading the Republican Party. That would be bad, and I would denounce it. Will you denounce that? Is that okay that she said that? And do you agree with her?
Look, just because we have the same hairstyle doesn't mean that I agree with everything that she says. And certainly I think you should have Simone on your show. Ask her. What we need are people who understand the Democratic Party from inside out.
I'm throwing it up really slow for you to hit. I'm asking you, do you think it's...
Tucker?
No, to throw it up slow, the pitch, so you can hit it. Do you think it's okay to say we don't need white people leading the Democratic Party? And I'm expecting you're going to say that's an appalling thing to say. You can't say that about an entire racial group. Go ahead.
It's not the right message that needs to be out there right now.
But is it wrong to say that? What do you mean not the right message? Is it a good thing to say, or is that an immoral thing? I mean, can you imagine saying that yourself?
It's not what I believe. It's not what I believe. So I don't know why I'm having a conversation with you about what another African-American woman said.
Well, I explained it to you at the beginning.
We don't all think and say the same things.
Of course I'm not suggesting that. Hillary Clinton, who's not an African-American woman, said in April during the campaign, she said, and I think I'm quoting her, we need to recognize white people, our own privilege, and practice humility. And I thought, well, that's sort of a big generalization. Do you think unemployed machinists in Ohio need to recognize their privilege, or the children of OxyContin addicts in Appalachia need to recognize their privilege? I mean, what do you think?
Tucker,
is there a reason white voters abandoning the Democratic Party? Because maybe they feel attacked by things like that? Is that a crazy thing to say?
Look, Tucker, you're a really smart man, and you understand.
I'm asking obvious questions.
You understand nuance and communication, and you do a lot of critical thinking. Trying to boil that statement down into something that is an attack on a voter in a certain state, that's just ridiculous. I'm tired of these types of conversations, and
really,
frankly,
I'm quoting Hillary Clinton here. I'm not saying taking out of context. This is a real conversation.
This is what makes people opt out of politics, and part of why we lost is because people weren't inspired. They were disgusted. They were disgusted by the discussion in the 2016 election.
So my asking what Hillary Clinton meant when she said that in public is, quote, part of the reason people are opting out of politics? I'm quoting a candidate you supported and asking you to comment on what she said. And you're accusing me of being divisive. Is that what you're doing?
Do you think you're divisive, Tucker? Do you think that you're
I'm asking you,
Which side of it are you on?
If that's a fair thing to say. And my own view, as you can probably tell from my tone, is that's an awful thing to say about people based on their skin color.
It is absolutely fair to acknowledge that there are issues of white privilege out there that concern very specific communities, and they're based in reality. But it is also absolutely fair and something that I think...
If you have to say something's based in reality, chances are it's not based in reality. I'm just going to throw that out there. This is my TV remote. I don't have to tell you my TV remote is in reality because you can see it. You know what I mean? But
Democrats understand about the pain that all Americans all Americans are going through. But I'm not going to sit here and have this conversation that conservatives, Republicans want the Democratic Party to be having and to divide us in this way. Because actually, we are united. We are united in what we need from an economic fairness standpoint. We are united in what we need to protect women's rights, which are coming under attack before this administration even takes step into the White House. We are united. I'm not going to let you divide us along those lines, because it's not as simple as that, and quite frankly, it's not as stupid as that.
I was quoting Hillary Clinton and asking you what you thought of it, and you started calling me names. And I'm merely trying to get your view, but you retreated immediately into talking points. So let me get specific again and see if you can handle it. Let me see if you can respond. If you can respond to this one. So you're saying you're looking for an economic message that speaks to the needs of the middle class and of working people of all colors, and I applaud you for attempting to find that message. So for 8 years, President Obama has been telling us he wants to lower drug prices because they're too high, right? And that was part of the purpose of Obamacare, but it didn't work, as you know. They're still too high, right? Right. A very fast way to do that would be to re-import drugs from Canada. Donald Trump is calling for this. Why in 8 years did Barack Obama not call for that?
Barack Obama called for so many fixes to Obamacare.
No, that's not to Obamacare.
You understand what Republicans did when that man was first inaugurated. They said on day one they were going to obstruct, and they successfully did in many ways. He and the administration were very clear. There are lots of things we need to still fix with health care. There are lots of problems.
What about re-importing drugs at a cheaper price from Canada?
But if you don't have somebody in Congress, if you don't have any leadership on the other side.
All right, so that's trailing off. No. Now, this was a DNC chair candidate. Again, Jamoo's over there. This one's here. Americans should shut their mouths if they're white. And like I said, I hope this is the platform. It's gonna do wonders for them, because I mean, you're not going to even attract minorities with this. I'd hope not. I hope there are enough people who are just like, this sort of seems like race baiting. But here's the thing about it, is it works in the leftist mindset because, you know, I always think right after 9/11, you saw patriotism and you saw Americans come together, and there wasn't this divide because we had a common enemy, basically. And that's what's going on here. The only commonality in the communities within, you know, leftist thought or the leftist party, whatever, you know, the only commonality of the black community or the gay community or, you know, this is the oppression mindset, where it's like, if there was no aspect of fuck white people holding blacks together, they'd start to see how different they really are. I've had kids I went to school with tell me they had more in common with Trayvon Martin because of the color of their skin than me, even though I spent 12 or so years at their side growing up with them in school. So it's really strange how they put so much weight into the race or the gender or the whatever. I think a lot of smart women obviously know it. They don't get along very well with other girls because, you know, they're in competition with them and whatnot. Anyway, let's get into the clip.
And it makes me sad that we're even having that conversation. And that tells me that white leaders in our party have failed. We have to accept that there is prejudice that exists within our own party. And we have to be able to have that conversation. We cannot sweep that under the rug. We cannot continue to hide it. We cannot smash voices down when they are trying to scream, listen to me, you don't get it. I'm a white woman. I don't get it. I am pleased and honored to be here today to have the conversation. I am so excited that we're here. And I am listening because that's my job. My job is to listen to the issues. My job is to listen and be a voice. And my job is to shut other white people down when they want to interrupt. My job is to shut other white people down when they want to say, oh no, I'm not prejudiced. I'm a Democrat. I'm accepting. My job is to make
Notice the attitude that, like, I mean, this is such original sin where it's like, even if you say like, no, I'm not racist, I'm with this, I'm part of the cause. Not enough. You gotta be shut down. Between this and the people at the SAG Awards talking about punching people, I mean, the left they're going to a real dark place. And I don't know, like, like I said, I want to propagandize them. I think people on the right now need to step in as sort of controlled opposition, and we need to navigate this. I mean, we couldn't do a better job than the Pussy Hats and everything like that. I mean, it really makes them into the joke. But I think we can take it up a notch. Like, I want to take a road trip down to that Shia LaBeouf camera. I think that'll be fun.
sure that they get that they have privilege. And until we shut our mouths and we listen to those people who don't, and we lift our people up so that
I always wonder about these people, like, when they use these, and this is where it's, you know, sort of like, if you don't have faith in God, the state will step in. But in this case, it's like Marxism has stepped in, where, you know, the privilege is the original sin, and, you know, you can never, like, pray it away. It's just so crazy where it's like this, they're in an alternate reality of sorts. Like, they have convinced themselves this is the way the world is, and they go around to everyone. Like, I saw some tweet the other day, a friend of mine who's gone off the deep end in this leftist social justice shit and won't even talk to me now. I got an email notification that she got a Twitter, so I was like, oh, let me check this out. And it's so funny, because all these friends of mine that go down this road, their Twitters are always like, rogue whatever, so-and-so injustice. That's like, and it's like, you are just super corporatized status quo. And if it's just, like, there's a label on it that just says alternative or indie, like, you're all about it. Like, these people become these, like, memes and stereotypes, and I feel so bad for them. So I'm checking out her timeline, and I see, you know, it's two TV show stars announce the sex of their next baby, or the gender of the baby, and so one of them, she retweets this comment from, you know, one of these snide social justice bitches, who's like, they should hire a sociologist or psychologist because gender is expressed later in life and sex is biological. And it's just like, you know, you're showing your whole bit right here. If you have to go and hire someone to convince everyone the world works in a different manner than what we all know, chances are you're the weirdo, and you're the outsider, and you're the one that's in a fantasy land. It's not that you've got it right and everyone else has had it wrong forever, and we are just, you know, we spent over 2016 years with the, you know, the oppression of two genders. Like, come on. Anyway, back to this bitch.
we all have equity in this country, so that we're all fighting alongside each other, so that we are all on the same page, and we clearly get where we're going. We're not going to break through this. This is not just rhetoric. This is life or death. This moment in our country.
This shit is deep right here. Shit's serious. It's about to get real. This shit is life or death. I don't know in what regard. Life or death as in you want more abortions? Maybe? You want More than half the black population killed? Is that what you're going for? I mean, with the Women's March, it seems like it. It seems like that's your angle. And isn't it funny how that's the Democratic platform? Fuck white people, kill the black babies. And it's almost like a cover. Like the one works as this sort of shallow facade where they're just like, fuck white people, you're against women, you're sexist, fuck white people, give us free money, and we're gonna kill the blacks. We're gonna kill all the black babies before they ever see the light of day. I mean, that's what's going on. Democratic platform for you guys. You couldn't make it up.
The Democratic Party has the opportunity to do something different. We have the opportunity to really confront the fact that we have not been in alignment with our values. We've been talking a lot of smack. We need to make sure that our actions and our words and our values all match. And around the issue of race, we are so far out of alignment, I don't even know the way back. But I am listening and I am asking and I am talking to people. I am talking to people of color because you have the answers. You can tell me as a leader what I need to do. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, is continue to have those conversations and continue to talk to people and make sure that...
This is grade A groveling and pandering. And I still can't get over the DNC. I mean, like the DNC... You know, when it was like, oh, we're here for Hillary. Here's a black person for Hillary. Boom. Here's a midget for Hillary. Hillary's for little people. Boom. Here's 2 Latinos for Hillary. Latina. Boom. Here's a transgender for Hillary. Trans for Hillary. Boom. Here's some gay parents with some kids. Gays for Hillary. Like, and it was this parade of tokenism. And I just don't know. I mean, you couldn't make it up. It's like hip-hop mixtapes where, like, remember in the 90s where you had, like, that Faith Evans song and you'd have Funk Flex on it, being like, all my chicken heads, be quiet. All my chicken heads, be quiet. If you got $100 bill, put your hands up. If you got 100, boricua. Morena, like, remember that shit from 90s hip-hop and latter 2000s? It's like that going on, but it's like, where my blacks at? Where my blacks at? Where my chicas at? Where my chicas at? Where my trans at? Where my trans at? Like, it's just shout-outs to these identity groups. Like, you're like a mix. Where my gays at? Where my gays at? Where my gays at? Where my trans at? Like, that's all Democratic politics have devolved to at this point. Fuck white people. Fuck white people. Like, it's like a fucking hip-hop mixtape. They're not proposing anything. They've got no plans. Like, the wealth redistribution. That's it. This tiptoe into communism. That's it. I mean, it's a Marxist platform. You can see that. It's obvious. But they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, and I just don't know, like, can that sustain anything?
Every single system in our party is designed to give power back to the people, all people, but especially those people who have been disenfranchised in our country since our country started. So, please, 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 this is a conversation I want to have, and I am from Idaho. We are so white.
I'm sick of hearing about the conversation. It's always a conversation that has to be had. If you just have a conversation, just a conversation. Like, it's now at the point where it's like, I wish I could do a sketch of these leftist. You know how they have the leftist thing. If you just knew a Muslim, if you just talked to him, if you just talk to a gay family, you would see that it's no different. You just gotta talk to them. If you just, like, so now it's at the point where it's like, if Hitler just knew a Jew, if Hitler only knew a Jew, there would have been no Holocaust, because they would have had the conversation. They would have had the conversation, and they would have realized And it would have been love. The love would have trumped hate if Hitler only knew a Jew. It's all conversation.
So white, right? Like, I have been reaching out.
Isn't it great how it's just a pejorative at this point, where it's like you can just say, oh, I mean, I actually had a teacher in the school I went to during parent-teacher conference tell a kid's parent, your kid is too white. But, okay, what does that mean? And the shit, it gets so odd because, you know, the more I look at this stuff, and it's just like, it becomes obvious when you think of it from the perspective of, would anyone go to Israel and say, this should be less Jewish? Would anyone go to China and say it should be less Chinese? Anywhere. Would they say this? No. Only in America. Only in America could this happen. And I mean, if in my ideal world, we wouldn't even know the, oh, well, we're, 13% black, 63% white, this much percent Mexican, this much percent Muslim. If in my ideal world, we wouldn't even know, because it just wouldn't be relevant. We wouldn't care about it. It would just be, you do what you do, that's it, have fun, don't hurt anyone. Like, it's so odd how the left has this idea that the world is a giant kindergarten and everyone should be able to just get along all the time and everything. And they don't realize that it's like, okay, well then you should just have it where it's like, common law. But then they want these crazy regulations, and they want it all where it's like, the gun control thing. If some kid was running with scissors, we need to take scissors from everyone. The collective punishments. It's so much. I'm so sick of it. And this is why I really hope it just goes this direction. And it's going to be really funny in about 10 years or so to think of, a lot of the liberal commentators I like Sargon of Akkad and Dave Rubin and all of them, because I think they're going to end up distancing themselves from it, where if it goes this direction, it's going to get so toxic that you'll at least have them saying they're independents. And it will be because the Democratic Party left them. They didn't leave it. They were sticking to the core values. It's leaving them. And I try to explain this to people. I've said it from the beginning. Donald Trump was running Bill Clinton's '96 campaign. And everything that was a nonpartisan issue has now become partisan just because Trump is doing it. So, this is why you have union reps and everything coming over with Trump. So, let's finish this off.
And trying to connect to anybody of color that I can find to be honest with me. I am not a politician. I am a human being trying to do good work, and I can't do it without y'all. So please, please, please get a hold of me. Sally at wethednc.org. I need schooling, and I depend on you and the people around our community to do that so that I can go school the other white people. We need it.
Thank you. All right.
I want to just say
very quick.
I mean, I don't know how you square seeing something like that. In slavery, I've heard that they used to use the stereotypical Aunt Jemima type black woman, what would be like your Leslie Jones of then, to kind of oversee all the other slaves, and it's sort of like that, where you see Jamu and the other guy back there just sort of laughing through it all and smiling, while she's up there saying, I'm going to keep those other whites in line, I'm going to shut them down, I'm going to make sure if they don't agree with what we got to say, their ideas aren't brought to the table. I'm going to do, and these two are just back there laughing while this woman is talking about how she's going to get her own race of people in line. Mind-boggling. Oh, God. So, anyway, that's here's a nifty comment. This is a mental disorder called ethnomasochism. It is characterized by hatred of your own race. Why are people with a recognized mental disorder allowed to hold public office? We have too many mentally sick people in government. Mental evaluation should be mandatory to run for or hold public office. This would eliminate many of the problems we have in this government. I happen to agree with that. And that's what this is. And it's just, I have problems squaring it all away. Where, like, you know, people talk about prevailing white supremacy and everything. And I don't know how you have white guilt and white supremacy simultaneously, like, occupying the same space. Because it seems like they sort of negate each other out. Where it's like, it's going from one extreme to the other. But I think most people are just in the middle somewhere, not giving a shit. I don't know. There was one other thought I was having on this. But I suppose hopefully I'll remember it, and I will just add it to the next video. So, have a good one, everyone, and let's help make the Democratic Party racist again, right? 'Cause it seems like fun.